called Critter Busters?
Dad's all torn up and Mom's got like a harpoon thing in her neck and they're getting bigger.
They'll eat anything.
Those, man-eating hairballs that you do not believe in.
Critters. They bite.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of They Bite, the best and only Critters podcast in the world. I'm Sean, it's Chris.
What's up, guys?
There he is. And we have news, lots of news.
We do, but I have
ahead,
some announcements first.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
All right. So if anybody is interested in conventions, I know we always have some guest updates stuff that I announce on here. On April 6th to the 8th, both Leanne Curtis and the Kyoto Brothers are going to be at Spooky Empire horror convention. So you guys can head on down there in April and meet the creators of the Critters and the lead actress of Critters 2.
Where the hell is that again? Texas or something?
It's in Florida, I think. I don't know. Spooky. Where? Yeah. Spooky Empire's in Florida.
Yeah, you were right. You and I can't go. Yeah.
I did, however, confirm that I am going to the Horror Hound convention in Cincinnati, Ohio, in about 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that. And Brad Dourif is going to be there along with Dee Wallace. So.
And now you will be. So if you see Chris there, $10 an autograph, $20 a picture.
Yeah, all donations go to Critters Rehatched.
Yeah, that's true. Let's see, you got any more announcements?
That is the only two announcements I had.
Okay. Well, let's get that. We got some news. I mean, it's kind of, I don't know. You go ahead. You tell him. You tell him, Chris.
Okay, so just randomly, I decided to message the creator-director of Critters: A New Binge because they told me a while back that they were going to be filming soon and that they had meetings and stuff that they needed to get through. And so I waited about a month or so, and then I messaged him back, and I guess they already had their meetings. And what he replied back to me was, they don't have a start date for filming yet, but the show is a go. They already have a critter design, and the design is going to be showed off at the South by Southwest convention, whatever thing that is, in Austin, Texas, this actual weekend, March 9th through the 15th or something like that. It's a really long convention.
Motherfucker, that means there's going to be pictures up within probably 3 fucking days, man.
I hope so. It seems
so.
It seems like it's one of those things, though, where it's like, when you go in, like, no photography or something, you know?
Come on.
It's a big convention, though,
these days, man.
because...
Someone's going to, like, flip out their wiener phone or something and get a picture of that thing. Come on.
I don't know. The only thing that concerns me about it is it's from where it's presented by Warner Brothers. It's through the Warner Brothers DC pop-up booth. And so I think it's going to be kind of, like, sidetracked, I think. It's just going to be a lot of stuff dealing with, like, Superman, Batman, all that stuff. And then maybe, like, the Critter's going to be sitting over at the edge of the table or something, you know?
Well, who's invited to these things? Like, could you or I go if we can afford to type thing? Or is this just for, like...
I think so. I think anybody can go to it as long as they can get the tickets and go. I don't know if you have to, like, reserve something or not, but...
Man, I don't know. I'd hope that someone out there would just find it interesting enough to leak a picture out there for us, man, because... years ago, the Kyoto Brothers did make a new critter for this originally, right? Wasn't it a plug?
Yeah, it was, and they went into the meeting to show off what the critter was and what they would be doing with it. They're basically like, you know, if you let us do the show, here's what the critter would look like. And then, of course, nothing happened from it. But this leads us to the next bit of news. I also got confirmation from him as well that the Kyoto Brothers didn't do the design for the critter that is apparently at the South by Southwest convention. So the Kyoto Brothers aren't going to be involved with the new series.
Yeah. Credit to James for helping us with that.
Yeah, he actually has a video coming soon, guys. Stay tuned soon, and we'll have that video up for you all. He actually talked to the Kyoto Brothers at a convention for Critters Rehatched, and I don't know if they go into detail or not. I haven't seen the video yet, but I'm sure they'll talk a little bit about Critters.
Yeah, and maybe why they're not on board, or I just can't imagine that they would turn down the job. So does that mean that they were refused the job? Boy, that would upset me.
I don't think so. According to Jordan Rubin, he said that it's possibly because I think it has to do with like Warner Brothers, actually, not anything between Jordan and the Kyoto Brothers. I think it's actually Warner Brothers and scheduling and budgeting, because he said that they're filming in Canada and the Kyoto Brothers rise, in LA. So trying to get them
to
to
Canada, don't they?
so yeah, so trying to do everything from LA going to Canada. I just don't know if it's out of budget that they can approve for them or not.
That's interesting.
But
why Canada?
I don't know. Maybe for a tax write-off, because I know that there's big tax cuts for making movies in Canada.
Is there? Oh, okay. I wonder if it'll be in winter.
I don't know. I doubt it.
Yeah. We've never really seen the Critters in
the snow.
Snow.
And then kind of avoid the Gremlins knockoff there.
Ah, true.
But the Jordan Rubin did say that he was going to see if they could try to get the Kyotos involved somehow, some way. So it's not necessarily rules them out, but it kind of does at the same time.
Yeah, they don't necessarily need them there doing the puppet effects on the design they didn't create.
Yeah.
I think what we all agree on is that we wanted the Kyoto Brothers to design the critter. I almost don't necessarily know if I would have cared if they were puppeteering them, as long as they created the design.
Yeah. So that would be something I'd want to see too. Is just what does the design look like then if the Kyoto Brothers aren't doing it? We've never seen anybody else. The only people we've ever seen attempt a critter design are fans. We've never seen an actual studio company or anything like that who has a major profession.
That is interesting. I'm very intrigued. I also would like to know if the Kyoto Brothers would leak a picture of what their design for it was a few years back, now that they're obviously not a part of it.
I'll have to ask them. I'll talk with them again sometime, and I'll see if I'll be like, hey, since you guys aren't a part of it, is there a way? I don't know. Maybe it's a rights thing with Warner Brothers. Maybe they can't show us something because Warner Brothers probably owns the rights to it.
It'd be terrible. I mean, we just like a picture. It'd mean the world to us.
Be like, I hacked his phone. He didn't send that out.
Yeah. So, well, I don't know. I'm intrigued as hell to think what the hell it's going to look like, and hopefully we're going to know in 3 days. And I don't know, the worst thing would be is if they strayed too far from the original.
Yeah, it could be a hybrid type of thing. It could be somebody trying to copy the original. And you got to remember, we have 4 different designs from 4 different movies that somebody could be referring back to.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, let me, I've never really liked too many fan designs that branched away from, the main design.
Yeah, I haven't either.
There is a guy called Dutch Outcast. You know who I'm talking about just by me saying that?
It's one that wasn't made by the Critter mold, right? But still looks really, really good.
He Dutch Outcast, and he calls it the Creepers. You picturing that? Or he posts on the group quite often. But his design is very cool. But it goes beyond the critters. It has kind of like spikes coming out of the side of their face a little bit. They just look a lot more like, I don't know, just radical and maybe like cartoon animated, but it's the only design I've ever seen apart from the actual one that I've ever actually liked. And even with that, no offense to the guys that made this, because I would actually like to buy one of these guys' designs, but I wouldn't want it used in this new show. Like, I don't want anything very different. So I don't know how I'm going to respond to it if they branch away from it too much.
Yeah. And also, too, I don't want to get your hopes down or not. We don't know yet whether it's a mock design where it's like maybe he has like a drawing of what it's going to be, or if he's somebody actually like designed, sculpted it, and molded a critter to take with them at the convention. Who knows? Like, we don't know anything about it. All we know is that there is a design there.
I'd imagine they're going to go with the latter because I don't think they're going to impress too many people with a pencil sketch these days. Also, I mean, let's face it, there's really no reason for these people to just latch onto the Critters, right? It's not like they were like, oh, there's gold in their franchise, you know what I mean? So I don't understand why they would take the name Critters and stray too far from the design, you know? So my fingers are crossed if they feel that way. You got to have them rolling up in balls, rolling around and shit. You know, if they change too many elements of it, you and I are just going to tune into the show, realize it's actually not Critters, and just dismiss it.
Yeah, like some other show, it just happens to have the name Critters in it with other creatures. Kind of like what, I don't know if you've seen the new Tremors movie, Tremors 5, that came out 2 years ago. The creatures the creatures look completely different than they did in the original series, the original 4 films. Yeah. So you still see it as a Tremors movie, but you can't feel it like a Tremors movie because it feels just like a regular Sci-Fi Channel monster movie just with the title of Tremors.
Exactly. The Graboids design is completely different, and they made it, honestly, they made it look like how this Dutch Outcast guy would probably have made a Graboid. You know, they made it look really badass and cute, but it's not what we fucking want. You know, we don't want that guy that can draw really good fucking anime shit redesigning our monsters. We like that they look the way they did initially.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, absolutely. I didn't like Tremors 5 at all, and I would have if they just wanted to change the monsters too. So that goes to show it still was a pretty good movie, actually.
Yeah, I actually told people when I did a review for it, I was like, this movie is a really, really good movie, but it's not a Tremors movie.
No.
It just happens to have the same characters from the Tremors franchise battling similar-looking creatures.
It's like one of the off episodes of the Tremors series where they don't focus on the Graboids.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, which I love the Tremors series. Yeah, the Tremors series kicks fucking ass.
Yeah, it does.
That's what I was kind of hoping we were going to get with this Critters series, but we obviously aren't because we're getting 8-minute, 10 episodes or whatever the fuck. What can you do?
Well, at least this goes to show us that it is going into production because that's 2 separate press releases that Warner Brothers has announced. And I mean directly coming from Warner Brothers headquarters on their website saying that they announced that Critters was going to be showed off and displayed at the South by Southwest convention. So we know that they're moving forward with it. It's not going to be like the last time where they just made the single announcement and then it was never heard from ever again.
Exactly, because you and I actually did have a scare about 2 weeks ago. We were in contact with somebody, I don't even know if you want to mention who, but they gave us some insight that it was kind of a 50-50 thing still, and it seemed like pretty good, a pretty good source, and I think it was, honestly. So I think you and I both were kind of like, oh man, we started this podcast. We're gonna have to end it on the fucking note of, never mind, guys.
I think we would still continue it. We would still do it.
Yeah, we would have. We just would have had to have done that episode, and it would have sucked.
Yeah. I think the source was really good, and I still believe 100% what he says about it.
Me too. Yeah.
I just think that he's
changed that fast. Yeah.
He's just coming from, I don't know if things necessarily changed, it's just the people he was talking to weren't directly involved with the main part of it.
Okay.
So they really didn't know what was going on with it, so they told him that, and he reported back to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't believe Leonardo DiCaprio told us that. I mean, damn, fucking let our source out.
How do you not say that name? His name's Josh, okay?
Yeah, that's it. What was his name on the Fat Mom movie? Gilbert, right?
That's the brother. Movie. It's the brother. I don't know what his name was.
Movie.
That was
a good movie.
So sad movie.
I think it's the only Leo movie that I liked besides Critters 3, actually. Yeah, probably. Yeah. So let's see. Do we have any other news?
No other news, but how did you like the last interview that we did with Mick Strawn?
Oh, absolutely great, man. And after the pod, because he agreed to do another podcast with us in the future about strays.
Yeah.
So my buddies and I, my two best friends I grew up with, we got together and they'd never seen strays. So I haven't taken acid since I was like a teenager, and it came up. So I took some acid and I watched Strays, and that just changed my life. And I also I
That's why I couldn't get a hold of you for 4 days.
Yeah, I totally went off. No, it was so fucking good. Like when we kept rewinding scenes because it was just so amazing. But I actually found
and then you became sober and you realized that you weren't even watching the movie Strays. You were watching cat videos on YouTube.
Yeah, all of us, my buddy's cats were just like surrounding the living room while watching the movie, just freaking out because I think we're laughing hysterically pretty much at nothing, and the cats are just hearing nonstop cats coming from the surround sound. A YouTube video on mono going through the surround sound.
I just pictured you, like 3 of you at home, and there's like actual cats in your house, but they're just like playfully playing in the yard, but you are actually like reacting to them like they're trying to kill you all.
No, I was pretty there, and I still wasn't afraid of cats. I think the cats were getting freaked out. But I noticed an Easter egg that I want to bring up to him, and I'm sure he'll never listen to any episodes besides once he's on, so I'm not bringing it up. But at the end of the movie, when they're selling the house, the realtor's name is Strawn Johnson.
Oh, huh. That's funny.
Yeah, yeah.
I wonder if he remembers that.
Though. Yeah, I wonder too. You know, because how does he spell his last name? Do you remember off the top of your head?
Strawn.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Strawn Johnson. And why Johnson? Like,
I bet that was somebody that worked with him on it. That was probably like his partner. Yeah.
Oh, could be. All right. I thought they were just like Easter egg plus penis joke. You know. I don't Strawn Johnson. I was like,
so we
yeah,
apparently we only have like 4 people who actually listen to our podcast. Because I posted a poll on the Facebook group page and asked what is everybody's favorite episode, and I got 4 people to reply back. Oh, actually 4 people voted. 1 person replied.
That's awesome. We're like a public access show.
I was like, I got really excited as I was doing it, and it took me like 20 minutes to like go through and get all the actual titles from each episode and like type them into Facebook and everything and make like all 12 or 11 episodes for the polls. And I got done and nobody was replying to it. And I was like, that's a waste of fucking time.
I think people listen to it. I think it's probably all just blurred together for them at this point. Because I know when I looked at the poll, I was like, I think the only episodes that stand out is when we interviewed Lee and Curtis and when we talk about Critters 4, everything else just kind of blurs together as one huge critter discussion to me.
Yeah, I chose our Critters 3 podcast probably because it was our first real in-depth discussion that we did for the podcast.
Well, was that like episode 2 or something?
I think it was like episode 4.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one. I don't know. I don't want to toot my own horn, but they're probably all pretty amazing.
Greatest Critters podcast ever.
Yeah. Well, we get like 100 or so views every podcast, it seems. So if we only have 4 viewers, that means that each one's listening to it like more than 6 times. So the replay value is obviously there.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it, right?
Oh, something else that I could talk about.
Yeah.
So I recently found on eBay there is a promotional material for Critters 2. It's like this little. It almost looks like the cardboard cutout with like just the critter holding the 2 sign that says Critters 2, the main course. But it's like real small. It's probably maybe like I'd probably say about less than a foot off the ground. Maybe like
It doesn't have a
10 inches.
back stand to it either.
No, it's actually a sticker, like one of those like window cling things.
No way, that's what that is. It's a fucking window. A window.
Yeah,
thing?
and I think it's like an Australian video store. It was made for a video rental store, and I think it was like a place in Australia because like it has this little corner cap that says like Mon Video or something like that. I don't know. I'm pretty sure that's a place in Australia or a type of video store in Australia. But it's really really cool, and I got that. So
yeah. When it comes to that, I'm totally gonna win that, and you're not, dude.
that's why I got you on the podcast because it's ending now.
No, it isn't. It's ending right now. I'm fucking looking. Are you serious? No, it just got posted, man. I can't remember what it was. Advertisement. Well, I found something too. That thing I showed you today was new, right?
I've never seen that one. I don't think.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, and that looked like maybe like almost a 2-foot tall stand up for the first Critters. It looked like maybe a video rental store stand up in the guy I think that found it was in the United Kingdom. So yeah, I sent you that. We'll post that in the group. You guys can like check that out.
Yeah, I'll post what I got too. I also bought this. I don't know where it's from, but you know how different magazines always had like one magazine would be specific to like horror, or one would be specific to like sci-fi or music. Well, apparently this one magazine company was like your greatest magazine in sci-fi, horror, drama, comedy. Like it was all this stuff listed at the bottom of it. So I guess they just went through all different genres for like interviews and stuff. And apparently in 1988 they had an issue that had an article about Critters 2 with director Mick Garris. And I found it on eBay, and I was like, I have to have this because I want to know what he describes in it. Because it says on the front page, Critters or Mick, director of Critters 2 gets cornered, and I was like, huh? That's
So have you gotten it in yet?
no, it's actually
shit.
just shipped today, so it's overseas, so it probably won't be like 3 weeks from now until it gets here.
Okay, you'll have to do another video soon. By the way, guys, if you don't know, Chris has like multiple videos up where he shows off like in depth his Critters collection. Like God, you have like almost 10 videos up to that now, don't you?
Maybe like triple that.
Yeah, really? Yeah. I don't watch them. I don't care. So.
Yeah, I don't watch them either. Well, when I first started doing it, I already had like a lot of stuff. So I separated the videos into groups where I was like, in this video, I show off every different VHS tape I have. And that includes like the various copies, the different copies, and then like the Japanese copies and beta and all that stuff, right? And then the next video was like, here's all the DVDs, and the next one's here's all of my soundtracks. And it got to the point where I ran out of all categories, so my next updates are just like, here's 5 new items.
Yeah, exactly. Otherwise, you have to go back and edit videos. But when did you start collecting all that stuff? I'm sure you had some stuff when you were a kid.
Oh yeah, I've had stuff ever since I was as far back as I can remember, like VHS tapes going into the DVDs and stuff. But
yeah, me too. Yeah,
it wasn't until probably I'd say 2005, maybe 2006. That's when I started going to conventions and finding like items at conventions. And then right before that Critters reunion happened in 2011, I had this big binge where I just, no pun intended, where I had to just buy everything I could possibly find. And that's what, ever since then, I've just been like, I have to have every single item no matter what it is. As long as it's an official release of some sort, I have to have it.
Yeah, exactly. You're a completist. No, I am. You know me. I collect Beavis and Butthead, and I'm the same way. As long as it's official, it doesn't even matter at this point if I see something, I'm like, well, that's stupid. Like if it's official, I need it.
Yeah.
And then we have the other collector, which I would say almost has more things than you, but almost none of it's official. And that's I think that's J.R. Miller in the group.
I know he has more critter, like puppet stuff than I do.
I think he has the world record for most critter puppets. And
I
stuff,
never
yeah.
really got into buying the puppet stuff because I'm not a big fan of fan-made stuff.
No, I'm picky. I'm very picky.
So like I have 3 critters. I have the full-scale Critters 3 replica that looks like it just was pulled from the movie. I have the Critters 2 screen-used prop, which was pulled from the movie. And then I have the little tiny foam, like rubber, I don't even know what, a Muck Time Toys or something like that did one. And I found one really, really cheap at a convention for like $15, and I was like, I have to have it because it came with an egg and everything. So.
Yeah, I've seen it. Now, are there any that you do wish you had? Because I'm very picky, and there's a few items that I've got, like the Retro Band figure. Did you like that one? I thought that was one of the best things.
Again, I thought it was cool, but I wasn't spending a lot of money on it because it wasn't an official item. Like I hate spending so much money on fan created things. And plus, didn't you like?
Was such an upcharge.
Wasn't something like really screwy with that?
Yes, I ended up having to hunt the guy down. I pretty much made sure that everybody got those damn things.
Yeah, why don't you tell that story, Sean?
Well, I'm going to have to really pick my brain. This is quite a few years back, but basically, before the Critters TV show was announced, there was a guy who contacted this. Pretty much Retro Band was just like one dude that released the Halloween 3 Season of the Witch Kids as action figures, and he only made like 5 of each one. And they looked really good. The card art was like, real comic book artist quality. The figures looked, kind of like an old Kenner. And it had that old blister packaging Kenner vibe going on with it. Those things sold out, snap of the fingers, and they were going for like $1,200 plus on eBay each. So the guy instantly garnished, some attention. And honestly, I give the guy a lot of credit in starting this whole online movement of the fan-made, creator, item. So anyways, I forget the name of the guy, but a guy came out of the woodworks and said that he was making the next Critters movie. Was it a movie or the TV show, man?
I think it was a documentary.
It was a documentary. It changed 3 times, so I think it started as a documentary.
And I have something to say about that once you get done with your story.
Okay. Do you remember this guy's name by chance?
I do not know.
No, I can't think of it right now either. Boy. But he contacted Retro Band and convinced them that he was, doing this thing with Critters, but he needed them to help him fund it. So they're like, okay, well, we'll make a Critters figure, and you can resell it for $165, even though that's an up price. People are understanding that, they're going to be helping, get this movie made, and they'll get their name in the credits, and, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. Ethan Terra, that was his name.
Yep, there you go.
Yes. So, he puts up the critter, then, it's only supposed to be limited to, 50. Then the next, month he puts up, there's a delay.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Ethan Terra. Critters 4, there's a character named Ethan, and the ship is TerraCore.
Dude, I was just putting something together in my head. I'm like, his name's Ethan Terra, but that seems like a big fucking Critters reference. My God. And I was thinking Terrence Mann, but you nailed it. You're right. My God.
So this guy was a scam from the beginning.
Yeah, this whole dude's character, this is actually a pretty fucked up story. So, a month goes by, people aren't getting the shit, but he puts up, there's a delay, and we're coming out with, 35 more, and there'll be a bloody variant. So I order one of those 2. Then he's advertising that there's going to be a bounty hunter. Well, the bounty hunter's, 165, or, more than the original. I think he was, $200 or something. So at this point, to order all 3 of those, man, you almost are up to $500 for 3 little fucking toys.
Yeah.
You know, it was ridiculous. And they were supposed to come with a prop from the upcoming movie, which was a critter fur ball or something. So months go by and no one's getting their fucking orders. I end up tracking this guy down, and I think I got a hold of Retroband or him first. I can't remember. But when I got a hold of him, I got a hold of his secretary, apparently. And then I get a hold of him. And he gets on the phone with me, dude, and he's got this whole thing going on. Oh, he's on the set right now. But you know, he's sitting there, he's like bitching. You know, all these actors, all these actresses, they don't fucking know. He's doing lines of coke over the phone. He says he's hiding out in the car. Everyone's stressing him out. He's sitting there, and I'm like, oh, really? And I'm picking his brain kind of like about the movie, about where the fuck my toy is. And this dude, I wasn't there in person, but I just picture him in a big coked out state going on this rant about how, well, the original Critters were good, but fuck the bounty hunters. I don't know why the fuck the bounty hunters were there. I'm getting rid of the bounty hunters. There aren't going to be no bounty hunters in my fucking film. Then he starts screaming at someone in the background, shut the fuck up. I'm on a important phone call. You know, it's not an important phone call. I'm just asking where my toys are, you know. So he gets off the phone with me. I end up getting a hold of Retroband, I think, and pretty much telling them the story. Like, look, I got a hold of this guy, and he's definitely not making a movie. and he's not sending out our fucking toys. And they ended up pretty much, I think, threatening him with a lawsuit, and then he sends out everyone's toys to him. Well, he promised he was going to include that prop from his movie. He sent, it was like a dog toy, one of the ones that you drop on the floor and the LED light blinks. He covered that with some fucking pubes. Spray painted it black so that your fucking action figure got fucking, you know, dyed from the black spray paint. You know, and the dude just ripped everybody off in the most part, because at the end of the day, those figures were not worth like almost $500 for all 3. And Retroband only charged that much, hoping they were going to help this guy out. And obviously the movie never fucking happened. So that's that story.
All right, so something I want to add on to that, and I don't know if this was the same person or not, but right before the Critters convention in 2011, I set out on a journey to do a Critters documentary.
Okay.
And I don't know if you remember or not, but it was when I had like the Critters Rehatched message board forum or whatever that thing is called.
Yeah.
I went ahead and I was like, you know what, I'm going to set out to do it. I even got information from Warner Brothers on how to like license clips from their movies and all this stuff, right? But I just couldn't figure out legal stuff about doing like and releasing a documentary on a franchise that I didn't own the rights to. So that's one reason why it didn't happen. But I decided to go ahead and make the announcement that I was going to be working on it on the forum, which I shouldn't have done that because I didn't have anything set in stone yet. And so I just went ahead and I made the announcement saying, hey, I'm making a documentary, and I'm going to call it They Bite: The Legacy of Critters. And maybe like a month or 2 months go by, and I get this email from this person. He's like, hey, I see that, I'm guessing he just like went onto the message board and was getting people's like email or something like that through the message part where you can message people. Because I get this email from him. He's like, hey, I wanted you to know that we're working on a documentary, and we need people to donate money. And so I was like, that's strange. So I was like, what's your documentary called? And he replied back, and he's like, oh, it's called They Bite: The Legacy of Critters. And I didn't reply back to it. I thought the guy was just like, BSing me. And like 2 or 3 days later, I think it might have been Dread Central website made this news post about a Critters documentary was in the works. And I was like, what the hell? I was like, that's the exact same topic that this guy was just telling me about. It's the same. I was like, there's no way that somebody is making a documentary and just happened to use the exact same title that I was using. So I emailed this guy back and I said, hey, congratulations on making this documentary. I really hope it turns out. By the way, that's the same name that I was using for my documentary on the Critters franchise.
Yeah.
And he replies back and he goes, no, this has been in the works for a couple of years from Warner Brothers. So I was like, huh, okay. Email Warner Brothers. And I was like, hi, this is the same guy who was asking you or getting information about the licensing for the documentary. And she's like, oh, yes, I remember you. And I was like, well, somebody has told me that they're making a Critters documentary, and they're actually using the same title as me, and I was wondering if this was true. And she was like, I don't know what you're talking about. So, and then once I emailed that guy and let him know that Warner Brothers had confirmed that there was nothing going on with the Critters documentary, I never got an email back or reply back from this person ever. And of course, the documentary never happened. And it was around the same time that I think that those toys were being made.
You know, man, I don't know why, but I bet it was him.
I feel like it was.
I think he was trying to start a fundraiser, keep the funds, and then throw you under the bus when people are like, well, it's this thing called They Bite, and it's all going to land back on you because you were there for, you know. Unbelievable, man. that guy was a real scam. And I'll give this to him, though. I followed him for a long time on the internet after that, and he ended up changing the idea at one point to Alien versus Critters. Like he was going to have the Xenomorph.
Yeah, which
Critters.
It was listed on IMDb as that, but it was listing it as like a continuation from the Critters franchise.
Yeah.
And it says, like, if you go to the continuity, I think it's still listed under there as a spin-off from the Critters series. I'm like, why is that still on IMDb?
No, I know that the guy is really rich. Because he did have a couple Critters made up for that movie that he didn't make. And they looked really fucking good, actually. Did you ever see them?
I'm not sure if I did or not.
I'll see if I can find them for you. He really did make some awesome Critters. He made like 2 puppets, and then he was making the Xenomorph. But that was it. It was almost like the guy would invest in a picture so he could post it online and get some social media news, but then he would just fall off the face of the earth. Or he'd make a fundraiser and steal money from people. You know? I have no idea. I just picture that he was some fucking rich kid born in Hollywood, had a bunch of money, had a lot of fucking ideas, and just put all his ideas up his fucking nose.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
You know what I mean? Because I did get him on the phone that time, and he was a total cokehead, and he was a total bullshitter.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. In all fandoms, the Critters fandom, we actually have like this guy. He's kind of notorious. Everyone knows about him. This Ethan Tara joke.
Well, here's something else too. I know we've been rambling on about nothing for like an hour.
Yeah, that's what tonight's show is.
But here's something that I can talk about too. Now, this isn't anything confirmed or set in stone or announced, so take this with as much a grain of salt as possible. But Scream Factory, the company that's been releasing all these old retro titles on the Blu-ray for the first time in special editions, they have started releasing titles from Warner Brothers, the vault of Warner Brothers horror franchises. I don't know if you know anything about them, but for the while, Warner Brothers didn't license out any of their properties for distribution. They had their own Warner Archive, which anytime that they thought that they could release something but not spend a lot of money on it, they would release it on the Warner Archive, or they would just put it out in stores. There was never any of, we'll let this company do it for this amount of copies or this amount of money. They were just bluntly, no, we're not getting rid of anything.
Yeah, very greedy.
Yeah. So recently, one title came out, and it was licensed by Scream Factory from Warner Brothers, and everybody was like, maybe this is something because they've done this before where they know somebody who works for Warner Brothers, like their friends or their brother or something like that, worked on that movie, so they were able to talk to the company and say, hey, my brother's on this movie, can we work out a deal? And that happened. I think that happened with Nightbreed, I think.
Okay.
But nobody really knew what the extent was. It was all just like speculation. And then this past week, there was like 4 different announcements that came through, and they were all Warner Brothers titles. and they're all ones that people wanted on Blu-ray. And then it came to the announcement that was, Scream Factory has now tapped into the vaults of Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
So, with that, I've heard various rumors from people that the Critters franchise is going to be soon released onto Blu-ray. Haven't had an announcement yet. I'm just waiting for them to actually announce it. I don't know when or if it'll happen.
One of the people was a pretty good source, guys. So
yeah,
it's I would say by the end of 2018, I think we're finally going to get Critters 1 through 4 on Blu-ray.
Yeah, I've heard that they're waiting until the late spring, maybe sometime in April, to make the announcement. Somebody did ask him because they released a movie called Night of the Lepus, which is about killer bunnies, and they were like, why didn't you release this in April on Easter or something? And they were like, sorry, the deals didn't go through quick enough for us to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So we know that it was a recent acquirement from Warner Brothers. So if they're working on Critters, they probably won't be able to release it till later this year. But I look forward to the announcement coming sometime in April or in the spring.
Well, that's actually pretty awesome. I would assume that it would be released right around the time the show's going to be released still.
Yeah. And the announcement, or not the announcement, sorry, the source also stated that they believed that they were trying to put the first 2 movies as separate releases for a special collector's edition, each one of them, which usually special collector's editions usually have like a lot of content, audio commentaries, behind-the-scenes footage, all that stuff. And then 3 and 4 were just going to be a regular release. There might be like 1 or 2 special features, but it's not going to be anything big.
So that means that 1 and 2 will get their own physical release, and 2 and 3 will be on a release in itself?
That's what I'm understanding, yeah. Unless they release 3 and 4 on their own separate release, just not collector's editions.
Yeah, I could see them doing all that and still also doing a box set that includes the TV series with it.
Yeah, it's possible. I don't know because from where it's a new show, if they'll license that to Scream Factory or not. Because usually when they license stuff out, usually it's older titles.
Right. You're very right. I didn't think about that too much.
Yeah. So who knows? I mean, this is all speculation at this point. It's nothing that's confirmed or said.
It's very likely to happen, and if Scream Factory does it, that means we're going to get some really fucking good artwork, and they're not going to look like dog shit. I don't think there's a single American DVD release of Critters that looks as good as the VHS or Laserdisc ever did.
No, there's not.
And that's sad. That's so sad. I think that's a big reason why maybe the franchise didn't hold the interest that it should have, because I mean, the Critters 2 cover art alone on the VHS, I think, made so many people pick that up and say, I have to watch this. This is going to be fun. And they took that cover art and they just kind of blew it up on the DVD as if everyone who saw it was already aware of what it was supposed to be, forgetting that, the whole new generations need to pick up this cover art and be, intrigued.
Yeah. And I don't know if you've ever actually fully looked at the DVD cover art, but if you look at the front case and you see all the critters with like the faces coming toward you with the woods in the background, if you turn the case over, you see the barn, the Browns' barn and house in the background with the back of the heads of the critters. It's like you're standing behind them now looking at what they're looking at.
No, I never actually noticed.
Yeah, so that's actually kind of cool. I actually liked that part of it where it's almost like they're just in the field right outside the house, and you're getting, like, if you're at the house, that's what you're seeing. Like, if you look outside, you're going to see that. And that's terrifying.
You should take a picture of that sometime, post it. I don't even think I own the DVDs. Like, I think I did, and I gave them to somebody to show them the franchise. Never asked for it back. I just never cared about the DVDs too much.
That'd be like pounding on the door. Back my fucking critters.
Yeah, I got them on tape multiple times. There was at one point I did own every American variant of the first 4 movies, but I've traded them off over time and stuff.
Have I ever showed you, Sean, the book that I got for Critters? The actual...
Yeah, it looks like a fucking like library checkout kids book from back in the day. It's amazing.
Yeah, it basically is. And
It
the cool
is,
thing
yeah.
about it, I don't know if I've ever actually showed you like any parts from inside of it, but it actually is written out like an actual like storybook version of the first movie.
Yeah.
Like I'll open it up here.
They did it for a few movies. I also remember being in kindergarten in the school library and finding a book just like that on Gremlins 2, I want to say it was. And just being like, holy crap, like, this is in my school? So when you found that Critters one, I was just blown the fuck away. Because it brought back memories to that. But then I was like, wow, I can't believe that they did that for Critters. If I crapped my pants for the Gremlins one back then, I would have just thrown up all over my teacher for the Critters.
For anybody who hasn't seen what I'm talking about, I'm going to read this off to you so you kind of get a glimpse of what it actually is. It says, I'm just opening up a page, and it has a picture of Jay Brown with his flashlight in the basement. And it says, Brad helped his father open the cellar door. It'll only take a second to check the fuse box, said Jay Brown. The cellar was very dark. Brad's father held up his flashlight. One look told him that someone had been there. The room was a mess. Tools littered the floor. And blah, 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 blah. So it's just like reading like a really good version of the movie.
How many pages is it?
I think like 40 some.
Really?
Yeah, 48, but there is like 10 pages that has like behind the scenes pictures and stuff in it.
Oh, it's wild. Does it, you've probably read it. Does it add anything that isn't actually in the movie?
It does. At the beginning of it, it has the bounty hunters, like in the not the bounty hunters, but the main people like hunting down the critters on the ships with the opening sequence.
Yeah.
And it actually says that they are on a prison asteroid that they are going to be executed.
Okay.
Yeah, so these critters have done something wrong. Of course, it's probably just eating and killing everything. But the critters are are about to be executed. They're on death row.
I think I figured that from the movie. I want to say that there was some like making of the original Critters where like the narrator mentions that. And also I think it might say it in the script.
Yeah, the script has a little bit of extra stuff in it too. I haven't read the entire script yet, but I know that the opening has scenes that describes bounty hunters walking with guns aimed at different type of, not critters, but a different type of alien species, and they're like chained together, and they're like walking down a corridor of some ship or something, and they're like whipping them and like pushing them, and you try to hurry them up down the hallway, so they're like getting arrested or something. I don't know, but it's really like cool.
Huh. It is.
We'll have to do an episode where I just read that book.
Well, that almost do better for a video blog because there's pictures.
Yeah.
You could do like don't take my word for it, that guy. Reading Rainbow. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I probably will end up doing that. I'll probably do a video where I take a picture of every single page and then like post it as I'm reading it. Like,
you should. Why the hell not?
That's funny.
Take a look. Come on, Chris. It's in a book. Reading Rainbow.
I actually don't know the words to that.
Do you not even remember it?
I never watched Reading Rainbow. I know what it is, and I like if you showed me that, I could be like, yeah, that's Reading Rainbow. But I never watched it as a kid.
Oh man, yeah, I did. I'm not gonna sit here and say I liked it, but it was definitely on.
Probably watched it in school, didn't you?
I don't remember. I remember the black guy. He'd be like, "But don't take my word for it." And then they'd show some kid, and the kid'd be like picking his nose and be like, "Critters is a really good book."
So, I have a question for all of our listeners, all four of them.
Mm-hmm.
If we were to do another podcast where we talk about different movies, would you guys be interested, for the first part? Mm-hmm. what movies should we talk about? Should we talk about just one specific movie each episode? Should we talk about a certain genre, like, other creature features, or should it just be any horror movie that we currently watched, or new movies, or what? What do you guys, if we were to do one, what would you guys want to hear us talk about?
Yeah, that would be kind of, yeah, I'd like to know that too.
Or a franchise show. Would you like to pick out a franchise, and then me and Sean have to be forced to watch that franchise and then discuss it?
That might actually be funny for us to watch movies that we don't want to see and talk about. But you and I have pretty bad taste. I don't know, it'd be hard to find something that we...
I do, man. I tell people like all the time what some of my favorite horror movies of all time are, and I'm dead serious. Like, I think these movies are like really good, and I think they're fun. And people look at me with this like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" look on their face, and like they'll be like, "What's 4 of your favorite movies of all time?" And I'm like, "Well, besides Critters, I like Ice Cream Man, Rumpelstiltskin, Jack Frost."
Yeah.
And they're just like, he's messing with me. And I'm like, no, like, legit, like, I love those movies. I can watch them over and over.
I've still never seen Rumpelstiltskin. That was a big, like, memory for me at the rental store, and I never picked it up.
You missed out, man. That movie is awesome.
Yeah, well, I'll check it out sometime. I bet I will like it.
The killer, obviously, is Rumpelstiltskin, but he speaks in, like, old-time language.
Yeah.
So... there's a scene where he's about to be like, I don't want to, I guess I'll spoil for you, but there's a scene where he's about to go over a hill, like over a mountainside, and literally it cuts to him inside this vehicle as it's getting ready to go over. He goes, fucketh me.
Yeah, definitely got
It's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, so we have pretty lowbrow taste in horror movies.
And the thing is one of the guys who plays the main, one of the main cast members in that movie, I have contacts with, so I could get him for an interview.
Oh, it'd be fantastic. See right there. You see, when I showed my friends Strays, I could tell, like, I mean, it's not like I take the movie that serious, but I could tell that they would never sit down and actually enjoy that movie. It was all on an ironic level that they were watching it. But I mean, I've watched that movie countless times, and I get that it's not good, but I love it. I absolutely love it. Whenever the main cat comes on, I'm always like, yeah, he's so cool. You
want to know one reason why I like Strays? When I first saw it on TV, probably like Sci-Fi Channel back in the like early to mid 90s. There's a lot of sequences where the cat is like prowling in the grass, like watching the people as they walk by and go into the house and stuff or get out of the cars. And it always like felt like the Critters because it has the POV of the cat as it's like walking toward the house.
Right.
And I think that's why I liked it. I was like, man, this is a lot like Critters.
Yeah, see, it would caught your attention because there isn't enough things out there to really compare to Critters, that's for sure. I think for me it was just that main cat. I just always loved him. We named him Vern the other night.
Vern.
Yeah, get him, Vern. Throw.
Get him hard.
Yeah. And he puts him in the microwave and just like picks up the microwave, fucking throws it across the kitchen. And then the cat pops out. It like flings at him like a spring shot cat.
If you like killer cat movies, there is a really horribly awesome movie from 1988 called The Uninvited. And it's kind of hard to track down because it's never been released on the DVD. But it is an awesome. It's like, I don't know what kind of creature this thing is, but there's a cat that has some type of parasite inside of it, and it coughs up like a rat or something. I don't know what it is, but like the cat pukes out something, and whatever it is that pukes out attacks people and kills it, and then goes back into the cat.
Yeah, I actually remember this, but I don't think I ever would have remembered it if someone didn't bring it up type thing. Did it used to play on TV back in the day?
I only ever seen it renting it from the video store. I never saw it on TV. So I'm sure it probably played on something like Monster Vision or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to watch Monster Vision and all that. Um, yeah, that sounds fantastic, actually. Yeah. So yeah, it'd be great to know if you guys want to hear us talk about other things because yeah, we like talking about things.
Yeah, lots of things, especially horror films. We
Yeah,
we
absolutely.
both have split personalities when it comes to things we like, except for like the really cheesy stuff.
Yeah, we both like the worst of the worst when it comes to horror movies. I don't even really like good horror movies. Do you?
Most ones that plays like nowadays or in theaters, no, I have no interest in
Yeah.
them whatsoever.
I
Like
mean, when I think
I
of
got more excited about the Blu-ray release of Ice Cream Man than I did when they were like, "We're making another Saw movie." I was like,
yeah, that sounds stupid. Now, like, what are horror franchises that you don't like that everyone that likes a lot? Because I don't really like good horror movies that much.
newer or older?
Man, new would be easier. I hate Paranormal Activity. I hate all that. I don't like Saw past the first one.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I only liked the first Saw movie, only because it was really, really interesting, like the way they did it.
Oh, it's fantastic. If it really didn't have sequels, that'd be known as one of the best horror movies ever. But it fucking killed itself instantly with all those sequels.
I like a few of these movies. Like I like the Conjuring films. I thought they're really, really good movies, but they're nothing that like 10 years from now I'm not going to be like, oh my god, the fucking Conjuring is one of those classic horror films. No, like it's really hard for me to picture a classic horror movie made from any time after probably 2006.
Yeah, that's about right.
The last classic horror movie I remember that I could actually call a classic is probably The Devil's Rejects.
Yeah, I'll agree with you on that one. I really like The Strangers.
I fucking hate that movie.
Did that sequel just drop today, actually?
Yeah, sometime this week. Might have been today. But that first movie, I think when I watched it in theaters, and I remember thinking that this isn't that bad of a movie. And then there's this part where the main girl, she's running in the woods trying to get away from the killer, and she falls and she like breaks her ankle. And then she turns around and she sits there and stares at the killer as he's like slowly walking toward her, catching up to her, and she just like moves like 1 mile per hour on her butt, scooting backwards, saying, "Please don't, no, please don't." I was like, okay, first of all, if I'm running from someone who's going to kill me and I break my ankle, I don't care how bad it's going to fucking hurt. I'm going to like limp on one leg or hop on one leg to get the fuck out of there. Like, no matter what, I'm going to try to survive as long, as hard as I possibly can. I'm not just going to sit there and wait for somebody to come up to me.
Well, she's a woman. All they know how to do is plead. I'm sorry. I thought it was pretty realistic. I thought the masks were really good.
I don't like the mask designs either.
You didn't like the mask design?
No, I don't know what it is, but masks don't do anything for me in movies.
Oh, wow.
And if it's not, like, I love, like, the Halloween mask and the Jason mask.
Yeah,
but
of course.
I don't know, for some reason, like, it seems like they go out of their way to try to find something that's not been done before. And it only stands out to me when I see that. And I'm just like, oh, they went out of their way to try that. Like, I could see it.
Yeah, okay. What about Funny Games? Did you like that movie?
I actually think I've discussed this with you before.
I think you might have.
I did to an extent. I thought that the whole third-person fourth wall breaking was like not fit for that movie.
Okay.
The scene where the girls, or is it a guy or a girl? Somebody's tied up in a chair. It might be both. Like the couple's tied up in a chair, and the guy like takes the remote and pauses the screen and rewinds it. And I'm like, this is supposed to be a really serious movie, and then all of a sudden this is in there. Now I don't know what kind of movie to judge this by, because now I'm judging it as a comedy.
Right. Well, I think the point they were making with that scene is that because they finally get the gun away from the bad guys and kill them, and one of the other bad guys picks up the remote and rewinds the movie. And I think at that point you're supposed to realize, okay, well, if the antagonists are in this much control, then this movie is not going to have a good ending. So why am I going to finish it? I think the whole movie was a big satire, supposed to make you ask yourself the question, why the fuck do I enjoy watching movies that do terrible things like this? And I think it was giving you the option midway through the movie to opt out. It's pretty much saying, this movie is going to end on a bad note. It's going to have no redeeming factor afterwards. So why are you going to finish it?
See, I get that point, but as I'm watching it, I don't get that point from the movie itself. Like the movie doesn't.
Well, maybe if you watched it back now, you'd enjoy it more then.
Maybe I don't know. Just when movies do that, when movies taken 100% serious, and then all of a sudden it's just out there.
Loses its tone.
Yeah.
Those are probably the 3 horror movies from the past 18 years that I would say I'd enjoy. The Strangers, Funny Games, and The Devil's Rejects. I'm trying to think of anything that I know I'll go back and watch again that's come out in the past 18 years. I would never go back and watch Saw again now, even though I liked it as much as I did when it came out. The sequels tarnished it that much. I hated the torture porn era of horror that came out of it.
Yeah, I did too. I hate Hostel 2, all the stuff that went on.
They were freaky and they served their point, but when a genre comes out, it's just like music for me. I'm more of a music guy than you. I probably like one band from every style of music that I've encountered, but I don't need to hear 20 fucking more bands that sound like that. I just want to hear the one that did it right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I've never been able to just sit there and listen to I look like a metalhead. People think I'm a metalhead. Fucking hate metal. There's probably one fucking band I like from metal, and then the rest is just like, God, shut up, So when horror does the same thing and becomes formulaic for a long period, which it seems to do, when Scream came out, then we had the teen Scream fucking era, and as much as I think Scream's one of the best horror movies, everything that spawned from it, besides Bride of Chucky, is fucking terrible.
I actually like some of their knockoffs. I really liked Urban Legend, especially the Urban Legends 2. I thought that was a lot of fun. I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Okay. I don't think I do. I maybe if I went back now, I'd have some nostalgia because I'd feel 10 again or something. But I don't know. That era really kind of bothered me. You and I were more or less born into the Little Monster movie era of horror.
Yeah.
And that's probably why you and I are so obsessed with movies like that, because movies like Ice Cream Man were pretty much like a Goosebumps episode, made worse, made longer, and made a little bit more gorier.
Yeah,
you know what I mean about it?
I do, because I grew up watching both Goosebumps and more of Are You Afraid of the Dark.
Yeah, I loved Are You Afraid of the Dark as well. I loved shows like that. I loved the Elm Street TV series more than I actually loved the Elm Street franchise.
that show is so cheesy.
It is, and I remember watching it as a kid, and I always loved how, there was always a first half and a second half.
Yeah.
And the most mundane character, the throwaway character, the disposable character from the first half always somehow becomes the main character by the second half, And I always thought that was so funny, because obviously I got a thing, I don't like disposable characters. I always thought that was really fucking clever. It's just the janitor that peeks his head over real quick and is like, everything all right in here? Ends up becoming the hero by the end of part 2.
You mentioned that music does it for you in movies. I'm kind of the opposite. When I watch a movie, I very rarely hear the music in it, or at least when I leave the theater or leave the movie, I don't remember the music at all unless it's something that's really standoutish.
Right. Subconsciously, I'm sure it affects it for you, just as it does everybody. You don't think about it none.
I get more into the characters than I do anything else. So if a character is doing it really well, I believe that in that character, and that character is believing it 100%, I end up liking it more because of that.
I'm with you on that. I don't think that it affects me too often though, because in horror especially, I think most characters are so transparent that honestly I do kind of focus in more on the music and the atmosphere and Yeah, I think that's probably the best way to put it, like the overall atmosphere. I'm trying to think of the last time a horror movie made me care about the characters as far as a new movie. And I think it was like the Leatherface 3D movie, which I don't even think was good. But
Oh man, I actually like it.
well, I did too.
Texas Chainsaw. You talking about Texas Chainsaw 3D?
Is that where the granddaughter finds out that she's related by the end of the movie and they team up? Yeah. Terrible movie, but I'm with you. I fucking liked it too. It's really fun.
Yeah, that's what I wanted. Like everybody was like, "Oh, the continuity there, the continuity this, continuity that," and I'm like, I went into the theater. I wanted a Texas Chainsaw movie that had Leatherface running around with a chainsaw, no CGI, and I don't think it really had much CGI in it. And that's all I wanted. I was like, I want Leatherface killing teenagers with a chainsaw, and that's what I got, and it was a lot of fun.
Exactly, and it gave you the whole like, oh, what if you became buddies with Leatherface type scenario, which she does at the end when she finds out she's related. I fucking love movies like that. I love Puppet Master 4, where the guy kind of becomes friends with the puppets. You know, obviously, is it better than the original? No, but it's not even on par. But like everyone hates Texas Chainsaw 4 as well, the one with Matthew McConaughey, and I think that's the best sequel.
Really? I like the third one better.
No, I hate the third one. I can't even watch it. It's so boring to me for some reason.
I think the fourth one kind of, I don't know, it irritates me a little bit with the whole, it looks more like a cross-dresser than it does in any of the other movies.
Leatherface sucks in that movie. Yeah, I know where you're coming from. You don't watch that movie. If you want a Leatherface movie, Part 4 is not the one. But Matthew McConaughey is fucking insane.
What the fuck was with that, the guy that's with Matthew McConaughey that comes in, like, halfway through the movie and, like, shows that he's the one in charge? And he, like, rip opens his shirt and he has, like, 6 nipples with, like, nipple rings and everything. Where the fuck did that come from? And why is that in that movie?
Exactly why this movie is brilliant. No, I feel like that movie was just like, they didn't just throw everything at the wall. They like made sure the wall was fucking made of sticky tape first, man.
Oh my gosh. Renee Zellweger is laying on a road, getting hit with a broom, barely getting hit with a broom, and going, ow, ow, stop it, ow.
Yeah. But then Matthew McConaughey gets so into some scenes. Like there's a scene where he's like, has the lighter fluid and he's burning the girl and he's just like, burn, baby, burn. It's just like, the dude was so into the character, and it's like, how did he even figure out the character? This movie's a fucking mess. But I think that's what adds to it for me.
Yeah, he's great in that movie. He's believable in it because he is. I think he's like that in real life.
Yeah, me too, dude. Yeah, he's a fucking insane guy. He totally overshadowed Leatherface.
It literally looks like he probably was standing behind the camera, and they were like, okay, everybody get ready. And then he snorted some cocaine and then ran onto the set and then started acting.
Fucking A. Fucking A kid, too. Yeah, he's played there's another movie where he played a role where he was that insane, where he, like, makes a girl like perform oral sex on him, but instead of his dick, he's using like a chicken wing. It's fucked up.
I don't know if I've seen that or not, but he's in another horror movie that I really like called Frailty with Bill Paxton.
I haven't seen that.
It's one of those movies where it's not really a horror movie; it's more like a psychological thriller.
Oh, those are always good, yeah.
But Bill Paxton is brilliant in that movie, and being in there with Matthew McConaughey it's a phenomenal movie. And if you haven't seen it, I advise you to go watch it like immediately.
I'd love to. McConaughey might be one of my favorite actors, and I don't think I even realized it till just now. But you know what movie they're remaking? They're remaking 2 very random movies. One seems too soon. You already mentioned it. I Know What You Did Last Summer is being remade.
Really?
That movie only feels 10 years old to me. I know it's 20 years old, but the even bigger random one is Fear, about the possessive boyfriend who finger bangs her on the roller coaster.
Yeah, I've never actually seen that one.
You've never seen Fear?
Nope.
Wow.
I think
Wow.
it was too much of a modern movie whenever I was growing up. I was like more into like shot on video horror films.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
Fear was
you want to go watch
definitely,
Fear? I want to watch Video Violence Part 2.